Hi, I'm Jill Simonello with Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk, and here we are with yet another vehicle that is really large in city spaces. But we are going to take a closer look at the 2021 Cadillac Escalade and check out some of the new features and some of the really cool things on this all-new SUV. So stay with us and let's take a closer look right now. All right, so before we get into some of the details on the Cadillac Escalade, I just wanted to do a quick walk around of this vehicle because there are a lot of really nice details and finishing touches on here and a lot of little Cadillac emblems. I really wanted to point out this right here. So this is where you press the button to lock or unlock the vehicle, and it's in the shape of a Cadillac emblem. I think that's kind of cool. You'll notice the logo for blind spot monitoring. You've got the turn signal indicator on the side mirror, and walking around, in addition to the big grille, you will notice LED lights. And here is a daytime running light, which has a nice little vertical LED bright light. It makes a really interesting and bold lighting signature on the Cadillac Escalade. At night, when you approach the vehicle, there's also a puddle lamp that shows up in the shape of the Cadillac logo, which is really cool. You also have LED lights at the rear, which are really cool. And I mean, the way the lights themselves are put together is really interesting. I don't know if you can get a good look at this without seeing my reflection, but there's basically like two panes of glass, I guess you would say, in there, showing the different, with the brake lights and the reverse lights. And then you have the outside glass. So it's got this really interesting 3D look to it. It looks way cooler in person, I'm sure, than it does me showing it on video. Also at night, there is a little logo down here that will show you where you need to kick to open the vehicle. There it is. It just didn't know that I needed to kick. And so you just put your foot right under there and it will both open and close. All right, so before we move on, I just wanted to take a quick look at the interior as well and some of the details that you can see on here. The finishing touches are just really, really nice, which of course you'd probably expect that with a vehicle that tops $100,000. But I really love this wood trim here and the design that they've put into it. And you can see that it carries over onto the console area as well. So you've got your USB ports, USB-A, USB-C, as well as a wireless charging port. You've got perforated leather seats. You've got speakers in the seats and the headrests. And there is seating for 7, with 3 fitting in that third row. Although we're talking about 3 mini people, not 3 full-size adults. Also, if you look at the head unit display, you have some nice controls here for your garage door, for setting the height of your rear hatch, as well as the ability to power down the third row seats from the driver's seat. Also, in terms of interior features, you will notice really nice linen material on the door accents and dash glove box area. Now, standard for the 2021 Cadillac Escalade is going to be the 6.2 liter V8 engine. It will deliver 420 horsepower and 460 pound-feet of torque. Similar to the Tahoe that Tim and I just reviewed, you don't have a lot of stuff that's really close up here that's easy to reach. It's all way back there, and the Escalade doesn't even have a bumper that I can step on to reach the dipstick. Nope, I'm gonna have to grab that ladder right there if I want to reach anything back there at all. So, something to note about this, very similar to the Tahoe and the GMC Yukon that we've already looked at. Available on the 2021 Escalade is going to be a 3.0 liter turbo diesel engine that'll deliver 277 horsepower and 460 pound-feet of torque. Now, both of these engines will be mated to a 10-speed automatic transmission. Now, one of my favorite things about the Cadillac Escalade is going to be the entry graphic as you get into the vehicle. I think that just looks really cool. Now, a lot of people have pointed out that, oh, that takes so long and it would get really old to wait for that every time. But I'm going to point out to you, you don't have to wait for it. You can start the car anytime after you get into the vehicle. One of the things I really like about the 2021 Cadillac Escalade is going to be this OLED screen technology. And you can see that the screens are actually curved so that it maintains a really good driver focus and excellent visibility for the driver. And you know, I know a lot of people have talked about this being one screen, but it's actually 3 different screens. So you can see right here you have a 7.2 inch screen, then here you have a 14.2 inch screen, and then finally here you have a 16.9 inch screen. And what's really nice about this is it's just easy to slide and scroll through, and the images and graphics on here are really nice. All right, so this probably has to be my favorite thing on the like list, and that is the massaging seats. I'm a sucker for a good massaging seat, and this gives you a lot of options in terms of rolling, kneading, a wave. You've got some relief function, and then you have the glide. In addition to selecting which function you would like, I personally like the roll, you can go for intensity. So it can be more intense or less intense. My personal favorite is then making sure the heated seat is on. All right, so I have a couple little stupid, silly things that are on my like list, and they are both in this area here. So first, if you look at the heated and cooled seat area, you know, a lot of times these will just light up. But what Cadillac has done that I think is kind of interesting is the cooled area is blue and the heated area is red. It's a nice little visual cue. Blue, cold, red, heat. So you know at a glance whether you've got your heated or cooled seats on, even if you don't notice the little logos. I like that. Again, stupid, silly, small, but I like it. The other thing that I really like is, all right, my doors here are locked, but I can still open the door. There are some vehicles that I've driven recently that when the door is locked, this won't operate at all. And I'll also point out in the back seat, if the doors are locked, you will have to do a double pull to get them open, but they will still open. You don't actually have to hit the unlock button or physically unlock the door in order to get it open. It's a small thing, but I like it. All right, so similar to what we saw in the Tahoe, another thing that I like on the Cadillac Escalade is the ability to put down those third row seats from the driver's seat. So there's a button up here, and again, I'm going to do a little bit of an awkward reach so you can see it happening, but you press the down button and the seats go down. But the really cool thing is you can put them back up here as well. Additionally, there's a power operation from that cargo area that will put the seats up and put them down as well. And I think that's a handy feature, and frankly, something that you better have on a $100,000 vehicle. All right, another thing that I love on the Escalade benefits me as a petite person. I can actually set the rear hatch to open at a 3/4 length height, which means that it doesn't go all the way up, and it's going to be easy for me to reach and deal with. And because I'm short, it's not going to hit me in the head either. All right, so as you saw inside, I set the height adjustment to 3/4 of the maximum height. So when I go to open this, rather than opening all the way straight up, it stops at the 3/4 height, which is perfect for somebody my size to be able to then hit that button. Now, obviously, somebody who's taller is going to want it to go all the way up to the max height so they don't hit their head. But something like this is also really good if you are in a garage with a lower ceiling. So maybe you don't want it to go all the way up. But at any rate, I like the fact that it is adjustable and that you can set it from the driver's seat. So another thing that I really like about the 2021 Cadillac Escalade is the fact that they've increased the cargo space. It is now 25.5 cubic feet of cargo volume behind the third row seat. And this is a little bit of a hike for me to get up here. Oh, but you can see exactly what that means. Now, from the third row to the outside, that's about shoulder width. So that means that you're probably going to be able to stack about 3 or 4 rollerboards back here so that you can go on a road trip with actual people sitting in your seats. You don't have to put your cargo in the seats. And that's definitely something to appreciate when you have a vehicle of this size. You actually want to take it on a road trip. All right, so another thing on my like list has to be the power running boards. When you go to open the door, the running board pops open. And when you close the door, the running boards will pop back into place. When you are on the petite side of things, it's definitely helpful to have that extra step when you are getting into the vehicle. Now, the final thing on my like list is going to be the camera system that allows me to maneuver tight spaces in the city with ease. You can operate it in both forward and rearward gears as long as you are not moving faster than like 5 or 10 miles an hour, I think it is. So here we are, getting ready to park into my garage and check out those camera views. Now, while I will use my mirrors for most of my parking, the camera is all about the fine tuning. So I can see here in this corner, I'm clearing the trash can there, and then I can get the angle to move into my garage better. And I try to line up so that I'm kind of parallel to the door so that I can actually open the door in the back. And then as I'm backing up, I use this more as a fine-tuning thing than anything else. And in the Cadillac, every time this has your little exclamation point, my seat vibrates. So I'm backing up, and now I'm looking over my shoulder to make sure that I'm not getting too close to the shelf in the back. And there you go. I made it into my garage, and I fit by about an inch. All right, on to the dislikes. While I really like the idea that Apple CarPlay is wireless, I don't like how it appears on this screen. So rather than taking up the full 16.9-inch area, it stops short. And I think that Cadillac missed a design opportunity here to make this look much more interesting than it does. Even if they didn't want to pull the Apple CarPlay screen all the way to the edge, they could have put something else right here, like a map graphic, a clock, something. But to me, this right here is wasted space, and I don't like the way it looks. All right, I already mentioned the redundant controls back here for the power operation of the third row seats, and that is very firmly in the light column. But what is in the do not light column is this right here. Not only are they only one-way operation, but they don't always work the way that you want them to. So in theory, these are supposed to power down your second row seats, but in practice, it doesn't work the way you want it to. Part of it is the passenger side seat is pulled back a little bit, and so when you try and put that second row seat down, the headrest hits the rear seat entertainment and does not go all the way down. So I find that annoying. It doesn't work the way I want it to. But the other thing that is also annoying is this is just a down operation. There is no up. If I'm going to have the power down, especially for the second row, I'd also like the power up. All right, so for the last thing on my do not like list, we are going back to the seating positions. This doesn't really give you a good view of what my driving position is like, but if you watch the Tahoe video, it's pretty similar. I sit a little bit low. Seeing over the hood is a bit of a challenge, especially in tight city spaces. And, you know, I feel like I should sit closer to the steering wheel, but I don't want to sit closer to the steering wheel because I don't want the airbags to kill me. Okay, so outside of the driving position, the other thing that I'd like to point out about the seating is it's typical GM seating. It's just not comfortable. While this has massaging seats, as I put on my like list, that's the most comfortable thing about the driver's seat. Otherwise, they're really stiff and there isn't a lot of cushion here. So I don't think the driver's seat is very comfortable. Maybe somebody who's bigger, heavier, whatever will disagree with me, but for me, I still feel like I'm sitting on cardboard and this is a $100,000 car. I keep going back to that. This is a $100,000 car. I just expect a little bit more from this because of that. So let's look at the other seating positions and see if there's anything that's a little bit better about those. All right, so I moved into the second row and I'll tell you, these seats are actually just a little bit more comfortable than the driver's seat is. It feels like there's a little bit more bounce, a little bit more cushion, and a little bit more padding. And frankly, I find that surprising because the person who spends the most time in this vehicle is going to be the driver. I would want that to be the most comfortable position here, but alas, it is not. So in addition to having a slightly more comfortable, little less cardboard feel to the seats, there are HVAC controls back here, which I think is a good thing. But you've only got heated seats, not cooled seats. And as somebody pointed out on one of my TikTok videos, that's a miss because at one point Cadillac had heated and cooled seats in the second row, but they no longer do. All right, so driver's seat we don't like. Second row seats are okay, better than the driver's seat. Let's see how those third row seats feel. Oh, this seat right here, not good at all. All right, so there's a little bit more padding in this, I think, than probably the Chevrolet Tahoe. Plus, the leather itself feels a little bit softer, but still not a place I'm going to want to spend a couple of hours in. Totally fine for going to the grocery store, running errands, going to dinner, going to and from school, whatever. But a road trip sitting in this seat would not be my favorite. Something else to point out back here, which is good, is there are cup holders and USB-C ports to charge your devices. But overall seat comfort gets a thumbs down from me in this vehicle. All right, so as I wrap up this video, I'd like to leave you with some final driving impressions. Now, obviously, a vehicle of this size is not ideal for tight city spaces, but once you get out of the city and you're on the highway, it's a pretty comfortable cruiser, and it manages some of those bumps and grooves and potholes very well. I'm not really a fan of the seating surfaces, but I did really like those massaging seats. There's a lot of cargo space, and there is a lot of person space in this vehicle. It seats 7. So, I mean, there's really a lot to like about it, as long as you're not in a tight urban space. So, my final verdict on the 2021 Escalade is probably about middle of the road. I think it drives fairly well once you get it out of the city, and I really like a lot of the technology on it, but frankly, for a vehicle that costs $109,000, I expected a little bit more comfort from the seats and maybe even just a little bit more technology. The vehicle I was driving, for example, did not have Super Cruise. For $109,000, I'd really expect this vehicle to have Super Cruise. But at the end of the day, I think the Escalade is nice, but I don't know what is on here that would recommend it to me over something like the Yukon or the Tahoe. All right, thank you for crawling around with me inside of another vehicle while I am driving around Chicago. I hope I've given you a really good idea of what's included on this all-new 2021 Cadillac Escalade. And frankly, I'd really like to know what you think about this vehicle. Is it worth $109,000? And would you buy it over a Chevrolet Tahoe or a GMC Yukon? So be sure to comment below and let me know what you think. Also, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And be sure to visit us on the web at pickuptrucktalk.com. Thanks for watching, and as always, I'll see you down the road.